order for the Cass County Public Library. This is the public hearing for the tax levy. And Lori, you want to take attendance, please?
Sure. Becky Klein?
Yes.
Sherry Peters?
Yes.
Dennis Minnick?
Here.
Diana Larson?
Here.
Diane Hahn?
Here. All right. So we now have time for public comment. Do we have anyone that wishes to make a public comment on the tax levy? All right. I don't have to wait the whole time, do I?
No, I mean, no one's here to make a comment, and you can just, I guess, say since no
Seeing that there are no comments, public comments, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the tax levy hearing.
So moved.
Dennis made the motion, second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call to close the meeting?
Becky Klein?
Yes?
Sherry Peters?
Yes.
Dennis Minnick?
Yes.
Diana Larson?
Yes.
Diane Hahn?
Yes.
We now have 14 minutes until the next regular meeting to be held at 5 o'clock.
Because we noticed it after 5.
I did all that studying and
What?
making sure. I will call the 5 o'clock regular meeting of the Cass County Public Library Board of Trustees to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, roll call first, Lori.
Becky Klein,
Yeah, here.
Sherry Peters,
Present.
Dennis Minnick,
Present.
Diana Larson,
Here.
Diane Hahn.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we approve the agenda, I would like to add item number 4 under new business, a discussion about time for a regular monthly meeting, to change it to earlier in the day. This is so Mike can get to choir practice on time. Right?
Well, yeah, but we're not having it right now during the summer, but thank you for that consideration.
Do we need a motion to change?
Oh, yes, we need a motion to change the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, then we'll go on for the approval of the agenda. That was to change. Add that, do I need a motion to add that item or not?
We just did.
We just
Yeah,
did
I
fine.
did it,
that,
okay,
so
all right,
that's
I'm
fine.
fine. It's gonna take me
But I guess
Couple-
now you do probably want all of it to be
Right, as
approved.
amended.
right, so now I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. You have your consent agenda, the minutes, and the financial reports. Any questions for Lori, Lee, or Robin?
I had a question for Lori. When I was going through the expenditures report, and I was trying to find out where we were tracking what we'd spent on the Harrisville project so far.
Okay. Like on the capital fund, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. I have a sheet for you guys. I don't know, I think Becky was the only one on the board when we did the Pleasant Hill project. Do you remember that? And I gave you monthly reports on that.
It's a
so-
separate sheet monthly.
So I have,
As I was just looking for it.
yes, because they're in with our, payables to approve, but they come out of our capital projects. Let's see. So if you wanna pass that on down.
So we'll just get these monthly now, in our packets?
Yep, we can do that. The board had asked me to do that when we started Pleasant Hill too. I think what do we do, Becky? We started them quarterly and then we,
Once we started building,
yes, then we did a monthly, but I can sure do a summary sheet like this, monthly and just put it in with the packets. So the first page is just a summary with all the funding sources on the top and then the expense summary, so you can see all of our projects that we've done. And then the second page is just outlining the Harrisonville of what we've spent so far on the Locust property, which is 180,028, so. Sorry, I didn't have it in front of me. Oh, here it is. Oops.
Close on Monday.
Where's your mouse?
Did it
So-
close on Monday?
oh, yes, it did.
Okay,
Yes. Everything has been done and the money has been transferred, right?
Yep.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so like next month, that'll be through August, and then those figures will be on here with the closing costs that we paid. So, of course, I mean, I've tracked this the whole time, I just, anyway, no one had asked for it, so. But there it is. So since we're starting the project, and then, you know, every month we'll be paying Navigate, Clark Anderson, and things like that, so. Well, Diana, I guess you were here during Pleasant Hill.
The end.
The end of it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this probably looks familiar to
Yeah, it
you as
does.
well. So, if anyone has any questions, I know it's a lot. Just getting, looking at it right now, but you can always email Robin or I with questions on that, so.
I was pleased to see circulation really went up in July. Yeah, things were more normal. Mhm. Any other questions?
To answer your question, Sherry?
Yes, it did, thank you.
Okay. And motion to approve consent?
So moved.
Dennis? I'll second it. Do we do a roll call on this one, Lori?
You
No.
don't usually-
Okay, all those in favor say yes? All right.
Yes.
And opposed? All right. Public comments. Did we have anybody sign up?
No.
All right, we'll move on to unfinished business, and that would be Michael.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My normal sidekick, Connor, is on vacation. And Rick McConnell, bond counsel, sends his regrets. He is covering a meeting for us in another jurisdiction where our senior banker could not attend, and so he is covering for us. So we're all tag teaming because it's vacation time for people. I have with me this evening Mike Reich from the firm of Raymond James, the bond underwriter that you all chose, and he'll be speaking up a little bit later on, but I wanted to introduce him and asked him to be here tonight so he could add some color to our discussion as we're moving through anticipating the bond sale. So we are this evening at a position we've been working at for a couple of years or so now, and I'm glad to be here. This is the final step that you need to take prior to the sale of the certificates of participation for the new Harrisonville branch. And the way that you're doing that is by consideration and hopeful approval of the resolution that was drafted by bond counsel. And it approves the issuance of the certificates within certain parameters. And we do that so that you give us and Raymond James parameters to go out and sell the bond. So as long as they can operate within those parameters, they have the authority to sell them. And then all we have to do on the day of sale is contact Robin on behalf of the district and say, Robin, here are the results of the sale. They are all within the parameters. Do you accept these terms? She gives the acceptance, and then it moves on from there to issuing the bond, the orders for the bond buyers and moving towards the closing. So that's how the process goes. The resolution has certain parameters, which I'll first go through, and I want to reference this corresponding sheet that we prepared for you. This is an easy way, I think, to illustrate and look at this. The parameters are illustrated on the far right column that are contained in the resolution. The first parameter is $8.7 million as a not to exceed amount. Now we know we're talking about an amount much less than that. But with these parameters, we work to be very conservative and very what if. What if something goes awry between tonight and the bond sale? And you don't want to or can't put in $1 million or $2 million in cash. We need to make sure we're issuing enough bonds to fund this project. I don't foresee this happening, but we have to have the what ifs, okay? The next parameter is the true interest cost. We've set it at 5.5%. Again, the projections as of today are much lower than that. But we set it in case something happens between now and next week, and we need that latitude. The next is a weighted average maturity. That doesn't really mean much to you all, but it's a bond counsel term, and it means how long these bonds are likely to be outstanding. And so there's a wide range there of 10 to 18 years, and we did that because at the time, we didn't know if you're doing a 20-year financing or a 25-year financing, and we needed to fudge a little bit on that. The maturity date, not later than, it'll be April of 2050 if it's a 25-year financing, or April of this didn't print off right, 45 if it is, oh no, that's the parameter still says 2050,
Okay.
but the assumption today on the 20 years is 2045. Optional redemption, we put 10 years in there, 2035. Mike and I and our teams will be talking at the time of sale about whether we can push that down to 9 years or 8 years, and that'll all come down to what kind of an interest penalty investors may demand in exchange for giving a shorter call. And so we'll see. That's really becomes almost a game day decision. I mean, you can go out with thoughts, and we'll get thoughts from their underwriting desk about what the market will accept. And if we can get a shorter call without paying an interest penalty for it, that's in your best interest because that gives you flexibility on paying these off early. And then the underwriter's fee is set at 0.475%, and that doesn't change. You see that's carried all the way out through the final because that's been set by agreement. And then the average annual debt service is illustrated both for a 25-year financing at the top and a potential 20-year financing at the bottom. So this illustrates and compares those two options. Both options assume a $2 million cash contribution, which is what we heard you say at the last meeting, and is what we have targeted and worked for. And since then, we've confirmed with the staff that they believe that's comfortable for the district, and you can do that, and we'll walk through that a little bit more. So going back to the resolution for a minute, that's the first part of it that approves the parameters, and you'll see that under section 1. Section 2 authorizes the approval of a bunch of documents, and they were all sent to staff, and you have access to them. If you want to read through these things, you are welcome to. The ground lease, the lease purchase agreement, those are important because this is a lease purchase financing. That's why the closing on the real estate, which occurred Monday, was critical, because we wouldn't be here with this if that had not happened. The continuing disclosure agreement, that is important because when you issue bonds, you will have entered into certain agreements with the bond holders that you're going to annually provide certain financial and operational data for them. And that is done in cooperation with the bond trustee. That's why the agreement is between you and the bond trustee, which is BOKF. And there'll be some assistance in putting that together, and then they take charge of posting that on the electronic national posting system, so that's available to all bondholders and really anyone who wants to look at what you're doing. It's very transparent. The certificate purchase agreement, sometimes you hear that referred to as a bond purchase agreement. That's the agreement that on the day of sale, Robin will sign on behalf of the district. You're giving her authority to do that. That is between the district and the underwriter, and it indicates that the underwriter is buying these certificates and reselling them to the public, and that's how that's done, through a certificate purchase agreement. Okay? The indenture of trust, that is the document between you and Bank of Kansas City as the trustee, which outlines all the details of the bonds, the funds they create, how the bonds can be redeemed, how the flow of funds work, and when money comes in, how it's applied by the trustee. So that governs what happens when you make a payment to the trustee on behalf of the bondholders, and then it has also redemption provisions in it, and what happens if bonds are lost, and mutilated, destroyed, all kinds of things like that. So, and then the tax compliance agreement is sort of exactly what it sounds like, that it's an IRS deal, and it's fun reading if you want to read that one. So, at any rate, also authorizes the final approval of a preliminary official statement, which we have provided to staff and gone through, and that is the document by which the underwriter offers the bonds to the investing public. So that's what we used when we went to the rating agency and got the rating. That's what we have used in talking to the bond insurer. That's what we've used just up until now, anywhere except publicly to the investing public, okay? The POS, as we call it, hasn't been posted yet on the electronic system nationally because you haven't approved it. But it will be here in the next day or so, once we finalize some terms, get a couple things worked out, and then Mike needs to get that posted internally for his sales folks, and so they can start looking at the deal, okay? There's a reimbursement provision. You may recall you adopted that resolution early on that you might reimburse yourself for costs from the bonds. And then some other provisions that, the lawyers put in here. Not the least of which is Section 7, the bank qualification of the certificates, because they're less than $10 million, they're deemed bank qualified under the IRS provisions, and so that may mean something to some potential buyers, like local banks, and so we'll see. Sometimes in the market, bank qualification doesn't get you that much, but sometimes it does. A particular buyer might want that. So I think that's a highlight. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have specifically about the resolution. I didn't draft it, but I'm very familiar with how they read, and happy to answer questions you might have. Okay. And the only other thing, I don't want to belabor this, but the only other thing I want to do is the memo that's in your packet that I had prepared, which made the assumption that you would contribute $2 million in cash, and also assumed a financing period of 25 years. That's what we're recommending. That is perhaps longer than we had some discussions about. There was some interest in 20 years. We can still do that if that is the will of the board. We think that's a little tight for you. And with a 10-year or maybe a year less redemption period, you have the option of saving money and retiring some of these bonds early. We think that gives you more financial flexibility. We attached to that, and I apologize for the size, these poor spreadsheets, that talked about a 1 million contribution versus a $2 million contribution, 25 years versus 20 years. To go back to a point we made in the last meeting, if you look at each one of these, you'll see some pink highlighted columns. That means that there's actually a little bit of a deficit on paper between projected revenues and projected operating expenses. I say on paper because this district's never spent its entire operational budget, but we assume in these calculations that you'll spend 100%. I don't think that these pink columns would ever materialize, but nevertheless, purely on paper, they do. The green highlighted notations are when the year in which you would get back to a reserve position. This is, Diane, you talked about this in the last meeting. Get back to a reserve position similar to what you have right now before you contribute $2 million. Under a 20-year scenario, it is out a little further than a 25-year scenario is out a little further than a 20-year scenario, as you might imagine. But it's not significantly different. And your reserves that you anticipate accumulating and contributing at the end of this fiscal year are not factored into this. And according to the estimates and projections that Lori has made, those could be fairly significant. So I don't really think it's going to take you nearly this long to get back to a reserve position, which is important as you look ahead to the next potential project. You were fortunate to cash flow Pleasant Hill completely with cash. You are doing this project with no increase in taxation. You're using the taxes that you have coming in right now to cash flow this entire project. So keeping you in that frame of mind and financial place is what we're trying to go for. I'm happy to answer questions. Again, our recommendation, boiling it down, is that you do contribute the $2 million in cash and that you use a 25-year financing period.
So clarify this for me. On the 25 years,
Yes.
if we did 1 million, it would be 2038 when we would pretty much have this paid off. Am I correct?
No, that means that the green highlighted box means that's when you get back to a reserve position
that's
close
what-
to what you have now. Yeah,
Okay. While if we do 2 million, it's just
it's just a
1 year
longer.
later.
It's just 1 year.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
While if we did it in 20 years, it's 2042 and 2043.
Those are the difference here. If you go down, the first two columns at the top, they're 25-year financings.
Right.
You compare, okay, the bottom are 20-year financings, so you are putting, you're paying more debt service every year. So it's gonna take longer to get that reserve built back up.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I see that, really the difference each year is about $50,000 between 20 and 25 years, about
Yeah, if you
debt
look, if
service.
you look back at this,
Mhm.
I tried to average the annual debt service for a 25-year financing versus a 20-year financing, and yeah, it's about $50,000 difference. So whatever that means to you, yeah, $50,000.
Then I was looking at, the columns of the total debt service.
Yeah.
With 25 years, we're at 11.9 and 10.5 on 20 years. So that's, $1.5 million difference.
Yes,
Right.
it is. It's gonna cost more to borrow longer.
Does decreasing the bond life, does that affect marketability at all? Do investors prefer 25 years?
It all depends. Well, you know what?
Is it gonna drive up our interest rate if we went to a shorter period?
Well, again, if you look at
Oh, I
this
see.
sheet, okay. Right,
Sorry, Michael.
That's where we got it here. A 25-year financing is projected at today's projection, and Raymond James updated these just today, 4.927%.
Actually lower than.
Well, no, a 20-year financing is 4.593. Lower projected because you're not borrowing as long. The longer out you take debt, it's an average.
That's true cost.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anything you want to add to that, Mike?
No, you're 100% correct. The longer you finance, the higher interest cost you're gonna pay.
So, I mean, sure, you're gonna save some money in terms of total interest by financing over 20 years. I think it creates some unnecessary pressure on your budgets that you may not need. But that's not my call ultimately. You can do either one and cash flow them. It'll be a little tighter for you if you try to finance this over 20 years.
And we always have the early redemption. that
And
we
you
can do.
have the opportunity to save money and then at 10 years or 9 years or whatever it is, you start calling some of those bonds,
Okay,
paying them off, and you pay off the long ones first.
and most investors expect those bonds to be called early.
Yeah.
I mean, what
It
I've
is-
dealt with them,
It all depends on the current interest rate
Right.
environment. But if the issuer can get well, for two reasons you call bonds. One, because you're gonna call them all and refund the whole thing at lower interest rates and save you a bunch of money or shorten the maturities. Or you call one maturity or two maturities at a time because you got money and want to pay them off.
right,
But any investor who's holding a 25-year bond with a 10-year call knows they very well may not hold that for 25 years.
Correct. correct.
Okay, so I did that figuring too, it's about 50,000. And, we have extra, so I thought 5 years less sounds like a good idea. But what you're saying, we can go ahead and do it 5 years less. And we're not gonna be paying 4.9% interest, that's only, right?
That's just the average, if we
That's the
go the extra
average.
5 years, so we'd still, if we paid it off in 20, we'd still have that 4.593.
It might average out
Around,
that
yeah,
way. I mean,
around.
you don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
these interest
These-
rates, they're not set static for each maturity.
Yeah,
You start out in the short-term years, the rate's gonna be lower. And as you get into the long-term years, in fact, you've got your analysis there. What is it? Let's see here. You stair step these.
On a 20 or 25.
Well, look at the 25, how the yields go out. Is that the first year of the second?
It's the second one.
Oh, gosh, that is really small.
Yeah, I mean, they start at 2.6 and kind of stair step to 5.2 on the serials. And then the terms are all over 5.
So the average of the 4.9 is an average going from that 2.6 all the way up to 5.36. And it's an average of time, rate, and amount, all computed together in a formula that I don't fully understand. That's how it works.
I'll tell you what, I'm looking at a lot of numbers and I don't understand any of them, so let me just kind of lay this out as simply as I can.
Okay,
How much are we gonna pay a year for the cost and interest on if we put 2 million down and we do 20 or 25 years, what are we paying per year?
and that is the bottom number right here on this parameter sheet, that on a 25-year financing, your annual debt service is averaged out at about 475, 272. Whereas on a 20-year financing, your average annual debt service is 522, 325. That is gonna differ, I will tell you, ever so slightly from what we plugged in here, because we did this a week or so ago, and they ran new numbers just today, and they're surprisingly close.
Okay, so in other words, we can take the 475, 272 and divide it by 12 and get a basic monthly
Yeah.
cost. Okay.
Because
And
that's principal
once-
and interest.
And once we move into the new branch, the rent we've been throwing at this building
Right.
goes
Yeah,
right
and
into
that-
the bond redemption
That's
fund.
why
Yeah,
I
they-
saw
they
this
did,
over
right.
here, but.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did call,
there
they
it
did, they
is.
did call them for that.
Right,
Yeah, we actually factored that in because we wanted to show that as a revenue savings. And you know, you make a really good point, Becky, to the point that, if you continue current trends, and remember, we assumed very low assessed valuation growth figures. I think it probably was pretty smart given what's going on. We don't really know how all this is happening. But nevertheless, very low assessed growth valuation figures. And then we matched up operational figures, certain assumptions on what you would grow your operational budget. But we assumed you spend 100% of it, which you've spent about 87% of it on average. So you may not need to allocate this 104,400 Harrisonville rent savings to the bond debt service at all. I mean, you may find yourself as you get to year 2029 where you can just put that into a redemption fund, just set it aside. On your own books. You don't have to give it to anybody. You just create your own little fund accounting category called
bond
future
redemption.
bond redemption. Yeah.
Our
And then hold it.
taxpayers deserve to know the plan.
Yeah.
That we are going to pay this off
Absolutely.
as efficiently as possible, but we still need to keep reserve funds for other emergencies
That's right.
And projects.
and projects. Because we have other capital improvement projects that need to be funded without a bond issue.
But your recommendation is that we do the 2 million contribution, but spread it over the 25 with the option to pay off early bonds, which would end up saving us money.
Right.
I mean, you know, just like anybody thinks, when I borrow money, I want to borrow the least amount I have to for the shortest amount of time and get the best interest rate. And that's basically what we would be doing there.
That's correct.
Even with the 25,
Yeah.
that's what we would be doing.
That's right.
So I
And
was
it
going
just-
in with this, went into 20, because I want to be done as quickly as
I know.
possible. But we
And
can,
and
we still can.
And you
yeah.
still can. But if you can't, you
Then we
build
have
in
an out.
flexibility into your budget.
Right.
Which I think
Okay.
is something that carries a lot of weight.
And I just want to make sure that in my mind, I've got to break it down to where it's as simple as
I
possible.
understand.
Okay, so on the 25-year financing with the $2 million down, we're basically paying $39,606 a month.
I'll trust your math.
And then on 20 years, it's $43,527 a month.
Yes. Big decision, so good questions, but yeah, I mean, a lot of thought has gone into it, and we listened to what you said at the last meeting and heard what we thought about the cash contribution. And we heard what you said about the 20 years. But in digesting this internally and coming up with our recommendation, we felt that the 25 was a better approach.
So what you need tonight is
Is
this
a motion
resolution
and a vote to
approved,
approve the resolution.
but it doesn't say anything about 2025, any of that. We don't-
What it says is that the outside parameter that you set
Right.
is for a final maturity in the year 2050,
Okay,
That's the
Yeah.
25-year.
and that's a 25-year.
yes, yes.
Yes, and you'll notice, and Mike and I were talking about this before we got started, actually. We're working on whether we're gonna have maturity dates of October the 1st or April the 1st, and we're kind of working through that right now. That's why this simply says not later than the year 2050. Okay, so we'll be, this will be massaged all week long till next week. And right now, we currently are still scheduled to sell these next week. There's one pending item, but I don't think it's gonna matter. You heard me talk about bond insurance, right?
Mhm.
And we've been in contact with the two bond insurers. Sometimes you get a policy of bond insurance on a bond deal, which helps you get a higher rating and lower your rate. Your all rating is already good at AA2, and so AA3 is what the rating is on this particular issuance. The bond insurers are rated AA2. There's only one that we're still talking to that's willing to play in this deal, and they have asked innumerable questions. Robin and Lynn, they're laughing because I just keep sending them all these questions. And I told this guy, I said, I have to have something from you tomorrow or we're just forgetting about it. But it's my duty to look at this for you. And so that's what I'm doing. Now, he'll submit a bid basically for bond insurance at a certain premium because you got to pay for it. And then our work is to look at, okay, if we pay this premium and get the rating increase to AA2, does it make enough difference in rate reduction to cover the premium? Well, if it does, okay, we'll maybe do it, unless it's like minuscule, and then you don't want to do it because they have a lot of requirements that frankly are just brain damage. But if it is a substantial difference, then we'll pursue it. Because your rating is already so good, I'm not sure that moving from AA3 to AA2 is gonna move this needle very much. But we don't have his piece of information yet. And we'll either have it tomorrow or we won't do it. So that's where we're at. Because he and his team have to know this. And when I get this tomorrow, he's the first one I'm going to say, okay, does this work for you? And they may come back and say, it doesn't make a big difference. And if it doesn't, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Well, I'm glad you're doing that instead of
Yeah,
us.
it's a pain.
It is a pain, and when you have a strong credit rating, you would only get one tick up.
Yeah.
Usually, we go through that process just so we can rule them out, and show you that, we did that investigation on your behalf, but not everybody would do that, so I think you've got a good one here in, Stiefel and Michael, to rule that off, but, who knows, we could get something back and it could work.
Yeah.
And it would be to your benefit if that's the case.
Comes back and says, I'm only gonna charge you 6 basis points for this premium, which is not gonna happen. But if he did, I'd say, oh, that's a deal, but it's not likely to be. He's had a lot of questions, so I think they're interested. Just gotta make a decision.
So is the bond insurance included in our resolution? Do we need
Oh.
to approve, generally speaking?
Generally speaking, it authorizes whatever,
Okay,
yeah, it'd be fine.
It-
Yeah, yeah. Good question.
Any questions, further questions?
I just have one. Robin, do you have an opinion on this, 20 or 25 years?
After going over it with them, I feel better about the 25 years, mostly because there are other things that we want to be able to be doing in this time at our other locations and things, and I want to be able to pay for those. And just the fact that we will still be able to pay this off early, like it's not locking us in 25 years. I like that option the best.
Anything else? Who wants to make a resolution motion?
I move to adopt resolution number 082025 as presented.
Thank you. Second?
second,
Okay, Sherry seconded. Lori, would you do a roll call, please?
Becky Klein,
Yes?
Sherry Peters,
yes.
Dennis Minnick,
Yes.
Diana Larson,
Yes.
Diane Hahn.
Yes.
Thank you all very much. We're gonna
Thank
hang
you.
around just for your levy, discussion, because I wanna make sure I know what you're doing. And then-
Might be important.
All right, let's move on to the levy discussion. You had the paperwork in your packet. The recommended levy is 0.2281. It is decreased from 0.2420 previously. You have the increases in real estate and personal property that signifies Cass County's growth right now. Any questions? This has been presented to the tax auditor, treasurer. It's gone through all the steps that it needs to go through.
Basically, the state tells us what it is,
Yes.
right?
The state tells us what to say.
And that paperwork I provided for you, so you can see.
Right, because the Hancock Amendment comes in and tells us
Right,
what we can do.
right.
I move we approve the levy as presented.
Second,
All right. Lori, roll call.
Who seconded that?
Diane
Diane.
Hahn,
Okay, sorry, missed that. Okay, Becky Klein,
yes.
Sherry Peters.
yes.
Dennis Minnick,
Yes.
Diana Larson.
Yes.
Diane Hahn.
Yes.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you all. Thank you. We will get to work and report back. Well, actually, my work is kind of done right now. He's gonna get it, so we'll get it. Yeah, all right. Thank you all
So
so
we'll
much.
see you again in September.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be here to report. We're gonna close this deal on September 30th, I think is what we have planned. So yeah, we'll likely, show it back up.
Okay.
And for those of you sitting out there, actually, our tax levy is down because we have higher amount of construction and property, so we're still gonna be good.
That's right.
Yeah, because 55 million in property was added
Yes.
to Cass
Right.
County valuations, so
Yeah.
Cass County is growing.
Cass County is growing. All right, moving on. Policy revisions, we have accountability. Any questions on that one? Pat, do you have anything you want to present beforehand?
I think I put it all in your little
You, yes. What is in blue is what we want. What is in red?
That's entertaining.
Okay.
the explanations to the top.
We had accountability, confidential records, Outside employment. Work from home was changed to remote work.
Can I back up to confidential records?
Yes,
And
yes.
This, Pat, this isn't specific really to confidential records, it just made me think about it when I was reading it, when we talk about employees must not do this, must not do that. Just, and I was thinking about the differences of shall not, may not, must not, and I didn't know what the current proper verbiage was. I assumed you were gonna tell me must not is the correct.
Well, it's more enforceable, I guess, when you say the must not part, as opposed to some of the others that are, doesn't give quite as much emphasis, I guess, in there.
I was just thinking about millions of years ago when I was in law school. Yeah, we were taught shall not versus
Shall not.
cannot.
Right. And there's, I mean, I run this through several different things, and I think what we've got is where we need it to be.
Is the most forceful. I didn't know if it was clear to say, you know, employees are prohibited from.
That could be too, if you want to, you know, take the words that prohibited from doing this, or must not do this, kind of the same meaning, it just depends on, if you want to soften it a little.
Oh, I didn't want to soften, I went to go the other direction, I went to strengthen it.
Right. But I think the way we've changed some of these, it gives that more forcefulness. If you've noticed, we've upgraded each one of them to give a better clarity to it. Must not, or prohibited.
Shall not give them a choice.
Exactly.
Must not,
It does,
Doesn't.
there's no choice.
no choice.
This is the way it is. And a lot of policies, most of your policies, that's the way they should be. If there's room for gray, it may say
Right.
may happen, maybe. But if you want it very clear that this is not possible, we're not going to deviate from this, it should be a must not do this.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Anything on outside employment? I assume several of our employees have 2 jobs.
Yeah, plenty
With
of them.
short, 8 hours a week, 12 hours a week, so
Yep.
we allow for that. Remote work. The main thing I saw on remote work is they've got to follow the chain of command. They got to go to their supervisor first. They just can't go to Lee and say, hey, I need to work remote. My kid broke their leg or something like that.
There's the approval process. I
There is a
think,
process
explained
that
there.
needs to be followed.
And that's what we really try to put in place, is to make sure that the manager is involved, their supervisor is
Right.
involved. Because it may not work for the branch.
So, just off the, on the top of the second page, during periods when the library or branch is temporarily closed, so that covered Pleasant Hill while we were building. It's gonna cover Drexel for this next month. They're coming into other branches to work.
We've actually put together a plan. Everybody's going to be doing a little bit different, but they're aware of what the
Okay,
limitations are, and we've given them some options. And
Okay.
actually, we'll talk about that a
That
little
when
bit
we get-
later.
yeah.
Yeah.
meals and breaks, any questions? Visitors?
I had one for visitors. Okay, so do we have a place where, it says here, welcoming environment for patrons and staff, and I know this is mostly for the visitors and staff, right?
Yes.
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 Do we have a place for visitors, just the patrons?
Not behind the scenes.
Okay,
Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about? Let me stand because he said he can't show me.
Oh.
If my grandchild comes in and wants to visit with me,
then we can take them
Right.
off, to the back. Our regular patrons are gonna be out here, is that what you're asking?
Well, I guess it says, so we had says welcoming professional environment for patrons and staff. I didn't know if this is where we could define welcoming to the patrons. Or if we should have another policy for that.
Are you talking about just a welcoming environment and welcoming
Well, like,
just visitors? This-
yeah,
This mainly has to do with the people
yes.
and
So, or maybe then, I could get with you and, we could talk about it, and then we could bounce stuff off back and forth, and then see if we need another policy for just welcoming to the visitors.
that would be something, that would be probably more of an operational as far as
Okay.
than a personnel,
Uh-huh.
okay? Because
Right.
this is geared to the employees.
That's what it sounded like, it was geared
It's
to,
geared
yeah,
to the employees, where the other one would be more operational,
yes. Okay, does that,
okay?
okay, good. Well, then, nothing on visitors.
Phone use, what every school and everybody has problems with, people carrying their phone around. And then equipment use, any others? We can do these as one big approval or disapproval. What's your pleasure?
One.
All right, you want to make the motion
I will
for it?
make a motion to approve, do I need to name every single one? All of the, proposed policies.
All right, and I will second that. Lori, roll call, please.
Becky Klein,
Yes?
Sherry Peters.
Yes.
Dennis Minnick,
Yes.
Diana Larson.
Yes.
Diane Hahn.
Yes.
All right, that's approved. Moving on to library branches as cooling and heating centers. Diana, you requested
Yeah.
this.
Okay. I was just wondering, will there be obligations if we're a cooling heating center? What are the obligations from the health department? Are there gonna be obligations, you guys
It's
know?
not associated with the health department, and there's nothing that we do any differently.
Oh, I thought it was associated with the health department.
Oh, yeah, 'cause I thought,
No, it's associated with the State Department of Health and Senior Services has a listing
Okay,
and a
okay.
map that is run by I believe the United Way of St. Louis does the map portion on their website showing places that people can come to cool down or heat up in different seasons.
so it's just listed on a map, and it's during our normal,
Yeah, we gave them
Operational,
gave
right.
them a list of our operational
So
hours
it's not
and
like
locations.
by
Okay.
being on this list, you're obligated to be open a
No,
certain,
it didn't change.
like, if there's a heat emergency, you're not obligated to be open longer hours,
No,
nothing like that.
it really
Okay,
was just
okay.
putting us on a map
And it's
to show
only
things we're already doing.
for the heating, cooling, temperatures. It's not a fallout shelter for tornado.
No,
that
it's
type of
not an
thing.
emergent, no, it's, yeah, simply heating
Okay.
and cooling. Mhm.
And just as long as when it's 10 below, we're also open during those regular business hours.
Yeah, if we were to close due to weather or something like that,
We can
this
still do
wouldn't
it.
prevent us from doing what we normally do, yeah. Mhm.
So
Okay.
it's not really changing anything.
No,
No, not at all.
And this is the health, who is it in Jeff City?
The Department of Health and Senior Services, I
Okay.
believe.
Yeah.
So it's mainly targeting the seniors, is that?
Anybody who needs it.
Anybody who needs it. So I guess another concern I had was, if someone comes and just hangs out all day, and if they're not following the rules, would they be asked to leave?
Yeah, you still have to follow
You
the.
s- Yeah,
the
Code of
policy,
conduct.
yeah.
Mhm.
code of conduct.
code of conduct, okay. Okay,
Okay. Any further discussion? All right. It was requested that we add time of the regular monthly meetings. There's been a discussion that we want to move the time up to, I've heard as early as 4 o'clock.
My general thought is a lot of employees or whatever, this is into their time, you know, when we're meeting this late. Move it back, hopefully in future cases, we can still get them out at a somewhat normal time. And as far as the public's concerned, I don't think there's a huge difference between 4 and 4:45. And I just think it might be convenient for everybody, and especially if we have, you know, we're in budget and stuff where we've got extended meetings, you know, we're not going in till the late evening hours. Plus, when winter gets here, try and get out while there's still some sunshine and everything left.
Right.
I think it would be a good idea. So I don't know exactly what the procedure is, we could follow that, but if we could look into whatever we need to do and follow up at the next meeting.
So the next meeting will still be at 4:45
Correct.
with a recommendation of a proposed time.
Well, we looked, we don't have, the bylaws don't give a specific time, it just said a regularly established time, I think.
The bylaws say we have to meet the third Wednesday of every month
Well,
at a regular time.
then I would be good at starting it next month, I think 4 o'clock.
We could do a motion if we
That's all
can't
you'd need
do
to
it.
do.
Yeah, we can always push it back.
Okay, well, I'll make the motion that, unless we discover something that prohibits it, that starting the September 2025 meeting, our meeting time will be 4 PM on the third Wednesday.
I'll second.
All right. Lori, roll call, please.
Becky Klein,
Yes.
Sherry Peters,
Yes.
Dennis Minnick,
Yes,
Diana Larson.
Yes.
Diane Hahn.
Yes.
All right, 4 o'clock next month, people. All right.
Jimmy, remind me.
And I assume we'll have stuff on the website, or we'll update that.
Yeah.
Maybe a news release or something for the people in the north, and,
Our notice will change, so
Yeah.
that'll.
yeah. All right, director's reports, changes in staff positions and others. You two just take it as you want to.
And can I say, thank you for clarifying that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's
Hires. So last month, Scott Pagel had moved from Youth Services Coordinator to Manager of Pleasant Hill. And we hired his replacement as Youth Services Coordinator, and that was Jana Riggs, who was the manager at Garden City until recently. And we just finished interviews for the Garden City manager, and we'll know that before next month. So people shifting around, which is good internally. Yeah, we're getting ready to finalize the Drexel kind of plan for closure. They'll be closed from September 8th through the 21st. Providing we don't discover, something that prevents us from reopening after 2 weeks. And so we have a plan for staff to work in different places, do some trainings at home. But they've done a really good job of weeding, and we think we'll be able to create a little bit more programming space there. And facilities department has a plan for a new carpet, new paint, new walls, and making it look nice and new.
Because we're not really moving walls inside, right? Because we have like just the bathroom, then like a little storage area, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's a plan to expand the bathroom and make it more ADA compliant, and add a water fountain, and improve a little bit to the back workroom, and give them some maybe just updated spaces to work in. While they're closed, the bookmobile will have stops once a week at Drexel at the food fair market right across the street. They were nice enough to offer their parking lot on Monday evenings for people to come and check things out from the bookmobile or pick up their holds. Drexel's customer holds will be on the bookmobile and available at any bookmobile stops during those 2 weeks. And so hopefully that, you know, that provides enough service while we're closed. They've been telling all their customers about the closure, and we'll have that on the website probably in a couple days to just let everybody know if they need to.
So the bookmobile's out and about again.
Yeah, they're doing their
Okay.
regular stops and as well as some lobby stops, but this will be added to that. So we have planned our staff development day for October 13th, which is Columbus Day. That I think has already been posted on the website as far as we're closed that day, but it's going to be at Still Meadow as a location in Garden City that we had one of our community needs assessments at, and they were very helpful. So we'll be there all day there for trainings and interaction and fun stuff. And yeah, we finished the summer library program, which we increased our number of completions from last year, which was kind of one of our goals. We've been really good at registering people, but hadn't seen that percentage get to completion. So that was nice to see. And we added a new database that staff is really working at back to school nights to promote, but it's a online live tutoring for K through 12 subjects that kids can get on through our website and interact via chat and whiteboard with vetted tutors. It's called Help Now by a company called Brainfuse, and we're excited to try that out because that's something that I don't know that I think parents and teachers can appreciate, because it may be something that don't feel capable of helping with in certain subject areas. So that's all I got.
Okay.
As it was mentioned before, when Steeple was here, we did successfully close on the Locust property on Monday afternoon, and the architects are still on track to submit that site plan for the city review by the end of the month. We have been able to upgrade the bandwidth at Drexel to 50 megabits of service from 30 through MoreNet. And it's gonna cost about $1,500 more per year as part of that agreement, but it was definitely needed.
Oh, yeah.
So it should help alleviate some of the processing speed issues and patron issues being able to access the internet.
They'll be able to stream movies now to show people,
Yes.
which they were unable to or had trouble doing recently.
Yeah, so that'll be good. And then we are reaching back out to OmniHR. That is the organization that did we did a compensation study back in 2022. And we worked on our personnel budget based on those projections for the past couple of years, but we would like for them to look back and analyze again for us, just to update that information, especially in light of the minimum wage change across the state that'll go into effect January 1st, moving that up to $15. So we just want to see what the impacts and projections are for that, so that we can stay competitive in the market. And this is coinciding with when we're looking at budget for 2026. So we should be able to get that information here in the next month and apply it to the first draft of the budget and talk about that. And then Ian's working right now. He went through the state procurement co-op to find a company to do the electric strike locks at the annex and over at Drexel. And he's meeting with them tomorrow. And so we'll be doing that through the state contract.
Good.
So with the contract pricing, and we'll probably use that we'll be doing that over the next few years at all of the locations eventually to enhance the access control. So that's the route we'll take, is using the state contract
Good.
to do that.
I have a question on annual budget planning.
Yes.
We'll get the first copy of the budget in September. And we have typically had a budget work session between the September and October meeting. Do you anticipate doing that again? If so, we need a few dates
Right.
at that September meeting, and we need to bring our calendars and, or that, so we can not just be surprised that,
Right.
so just think a little bit ahead.
Yeah, it was helpful last year.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
okay. There's no foundation update other than we have a building, but we don't have a date yet. So we're gonna work it bit by bit. Any trustee comments? All right, then shall we adjourn to recess to executive session, please?
I move we adjourn to executive sessions for legal, Missouri Revised Statute 610.021.1, and real estate, Missouri Revised Statute 610.021.2.
Second. Point two.
Lori, roll call, please.
Becky Klein?
Yes.
Sherry Peters?
Yes.
Dennis Minnick?
Yes.
Diana Larson?
Yes.
Diane Hahn?
Yes.
Okay, so we are in recess. Those of you that have stayed with us here, the next meeting will be September 17th at 4 o'clock. Okay?